you? This is Amiee Boswinkle of Connections Restored TV, coming to you with episode 22 today. I am an affiliate of the Bill and Callie Show Network. They are so incredibly beautiful and kind and caring people who showcase amazing humans on this planet who are doing transformational work, and I am so incredibly grateful to be connected to the Bill and Callie Show Network because they are, as I said, very amazing people. Today we're talking about trauma and PTSD brain and how the brain works as we are going through trauma. And what's bringing this topic to light for me today, friends, is all of the post-traumatic ways that we are having to deal with the lockdown that we have been going through this year in 2020, having to isolate ourselves more, wear masks when we go out into public. And for those of us who have walked through coronavirus ourselves or know people or had family members who have walked through coronavirus, how to deal with the effects of that, right? Because it's a really scary thing. And I know that there's a lot of controversy with this topic because some people believe that coronavirus is a hoax and they don't know a single person who has gone through it. And other people have lost people very, very close to them, their children, their parents, their grandparents, best friends, their husband, their wife, right? So I'm not here to play devil's advocate today. I'm really here more to stand in that space of the objective witness and help people to understand how the brain works when we're walking through trauma. Because what I found in my own life as I was learning how to heal myself from trauma, PTSD, and addictions when conventional medicine didn't work for me, and as I was studying the human body nonstop, biology, chemistry, physiology, and anatomy, to help me overcome, I was a woman who went to the projects of Chicago every day with gang members to buy dope because my drug of choice, one of my drugs of choices, was heroin, and I was an intravenous heroin user for a period of time in my life, and that was very traumatic. And a lot of people might say, well, you made those choices and it was about drugs and it was about this. And a lot of times people have these preconceived notions that trauma and PTSD is only associated with women or men who have gone to war. But the truth is it occurs for people who have gone through physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, right? And I am also a survivor of sexual abuse. I was sexually abused by a family member very, very young in my life, starting at age 3. So I had that, right? I lost everything that I owned in a house fire. I also lost my mom to prescription medication. There's a lot of things that have created trauma and PTSD in my life. So as I was studying, I made a whole lot of connections that made a whole lot of sense to me. And sometimes I can still arrive at those spaces where my brain takes me back to those recurring memories and those recurring brain patterns. And I get caught up in my life and I kind of freak out a little bit, right? And it's really, really normal because the more trauma a person has gone through, as they're arriving at new spaces in their life or triggers, right? Sometimes it's just noises. Sometimes it's the way something feels on our skin. Sometimes it's scents, right? Like something smells a certain way and it triggers something in our brain and we become those old versions of ourselves, and the brain can literally shut down to keep us in survival mode. So sometimes the people closest to us don't even know what's occurring. And because I have done work with alcoholics and drug addicts who have witnessed and been through a whole number of things in their life. And I've also worked with people who have suffered from all kinds of traumas. I've learned to pick up and recognize certain subtle cues that most people kind of move away from or don't recognize or aren't paying attention to because it's just so subtle, right? But my brain is literally conditioned and just kind of hones in on and can see exactly where the problem lies and how to rewire the neural pathways in the brain so that people can move forward. And so, like I said, this topic just feels really, really close to my heart right now, because there are just so many people that I talk to on a daily basis who are suffering from so much. But lately, I have been speaking with people who have had fear around, their family members who have been ill, or people who have been ill with the coronavirus themselves. And I think it's really important to talk about trending topics in our news world, in our environment, and speak to those things that maybe some people don't have a whole lot of understanding around, so that we can come from a space of more understanding, come from a place of more compassion and empathy, and also standing strong in our truths and our beliefs. The beautiful thing and the beautiful gift about the way that the universe created me, Amiee Boswinkle, to be, now that I have sobriety and an understanding of what's going on whenever I am loading up fear states, and what I do to walk through it, is that I can take a step back and see people exactly where they are, even if their belief system is different from mine, and not judge them. Because what good does judgment do when somebody is in pain and they don't know how to move forward? And I can literally see how their brain is creating a pattern that is keeping them stuck, lost, feeling broken and sad inside of their self, keeping their heart sad and in anxiety and in those traumatic spaces. So it's really important to continue to speak to trauma and PTSD, because that's not going to go away, in my opinion, anytime soon in this world, because people witness and see and go through hardships every day. Sometimes we lose family members. Sometimes we are feeling really, really lost and sad inside of ourselves, right? So the number one thing that I found on this journey is just allowing another person to express themselves in their word and their languaging exactly where they are, right? And what I mean by that is, we all have an energy to us, and when we're afraid and we're going to another person and the brain is in survival mode, no matter what that person, the person going through the trauma and the PTSD is going through, when they go to another person, when they're in that mode, they're in what's called a survival mode of thinking. And when we're in a survival mode of thinking, then literally the 5% of the brain that we have to make logical decisions every day, known as the prefrontal cortex, gets shut off, because the majority of the way that we work and deal with life is from the 95% of our brain that is known as the subconscious mind. Right? So the subconscious mind operates on habit. The subconscious mind operates on our current belief system. And if we don't like the way we believe something, if we're looking to overturn a habit that we have going on, then we need to become aware of the thoughts, feelings, and actions that we are taking. And we have to start to create a new story that the logical brain can start to tell the subconscious brain, so that we can rewire and create the new story so that success becomes inevitable in our life. But a lot of times, if we're not trained in this area, we can overlook it, oversee it, and then the next thing we know, that person that we love so much comes into our experience and they're freaking out and we don't know how to deal with it. And it makes us feel lost. It makes us feel broken. It makes us feel disconnected. It makes us feel frustrated. It makes us angry. It actually tears people apart. Right? So there are probably some of you watching this video who have become divorced from your spouse because of trauma or PTSD, because people didn't know how to relate. Right? And sometimes people just will never know how to relate. That's just the bottom line, because each of us has our own level of thinking and understanding, that some of the more evolved levels of thinking won't arrive to all of us in this lifetime unless we continue to choose ways of being that will allow our mind and our consciousness to expand and grow. And not everybody's going to be on that path in this lifetime, and that's okay, right? It's not about judging another person. It's about doing our best to understand where they're coming from. So as they're going through their space, it's about taking that step back and being in a reflective space, not a reactive space, because what we want to do when a person we love a lot comes to us and they're experiencing pain, especially trauma pain and PTSD pain, is we want to fix them. We want to make them better. We want to offer them advice. We want to offer them solutions. But when a person is in survival mode thinking and this prefrontal cortex is turned off and 100% of the brain is in survival mode, in subconscious thinking, and all that person is doing is their best to survive, they're not going to be able to hear that information. So taking a step back and just being silent and hearing the person, just hearing them. But most people, they want to talk, they want to fix, they want to do. Even though you can tell them a million times till you're blue in the face, just please be silent and please just listen. There are some people who just will not be able to understand that, and they will continue to speak and speak and speak. And then when that other person who's in that trauma mode or that PTSD mode is going through what they're going through and experiencing what they're experiencing, and all these words and energy and fix and do, it's going to trigger them more. And then we're going to get in arguments with them. And then it's literally a space where people push each other away from one another. And there's so many people right now who are living in fear, and have walked through trauma and have never walked through trauma before and are experiencing trauma in such a new way that it is really important to be able to understand and have this knowledge so that we can gain wisdom, so that we can move forward and walk with another person in that space of reflection and compassion and empathy, right? So just listen. Because when that other person's in survival mode thinking, they're not going to be able to hear you anyway. So as you offer them that space, and you're just being a reflection of who they're being, right? You're just taking in that information and allowing inner peace, right? Like, although maybe you don't feel inner peace whenever they're like, talking about things that are bothering them, because what's happening is it's loading up a response in our central nervous system, right? Because human beings live in this, the body is conditioned for fight or flight. So it's about reconditioning and reprogramming the central nervous system along with the brain, because we have to create the new feelings around the new thoughts that we desire to have. So as that person is walking through their trauma and you're just standing there listening, you're allowing them to, speak in a way that they aren't getting interrupted, and their energy is being able to get out and be expressed. Now, that doesn't mean everything's going to change in just one conversation, right? Allowing them that space as many times as they need to come to you. But I guarantee that in time, if you allow them that space, they're going to start to calm down. And it's in this space where some transformation can occur, because you will begin to notice as they start to calm down, they're going to be open and receptive, and they're going to start to be like, I don't know why I keep doing that. I don't understand how this keeps happening. I just want to think a different way. I don't want to be sad anymore. I don't want to be frustrated. I want to be able to sleep, because a lot of times people who experience trauma and PTSD have insomnia or anxiety or depression or things of that nature, because their bodies literally, their central nervous system response is turned on so high, they're emitting a bunch of cortisol and adrenaline into the body from their adrenal glands, and they're getting exhausted, and the central nervous system is doing its best to keep that person alive, because living is about, fight or flight. That central nervous system is always doing its job, and we don't even have to think about it most of the time until something begins to go wrong, and we start to get greater disease states where we need to go to the doctor and get, and perhaps we're prescribed medication, and, and we all know that lifestyle change is one of the best ways to deal with stress and lifestyle diseases. But it's hard for people to take action on exercise if they're used to not exercising. People will tell themselves stories and talk themselves out of things all of the time, because right? The subconscious brain, the 95% of us that is navigating life for us the majority of the time while we're awake, if we have a habit of being a person who doesn't exercise, even though the logical brain is like, we need to exercise, we're going to be the habit of who we were yesterday and the day before that and the day before that and the day before that. A really great book to reference is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He speaks very greatly to this topic, right, about breaking the habit of being yourself. So as the person is beginning to calm down, right? We're going back to the person who has trauma, PTSD, addictions, whatever it is they're going through, and they are starting to calm down. We can begin to have conversations with them. And what I would suggest is people will change, number one, when they're ready and they ask for help, because they have to want it more than anything and be willing to go to any length to have it. If they aren't coming to you asking for help and you're offering advice, you're talking to deaf ears. The thing about this that I have learned on this journey, and all of you probably know too, is that people will not change until they are ready to change and they want it more than anything. They have made the decision that they're going to go to any length to change no matter what. Otherwise, we just like the idea of it. And we're going to continue to say, I want this, I want this, I want this, but people are not going to take any action towards having what they say they want. And it's not about judging the person. It's just about, people arrive to where they want to be when they're ready. So as this person comes to you and now they're ready to hear, advice goes so far, and we're all very wise people and we want to offer people advice, but people change when they come to the realizations on their own in their own time. So with this being said, when that person's in that reflectionary space, they've calmed down enough, they're coming to you and they're like, I don't like being like that. Something that you could offer them is say, you know what, I can completely understand. I bet that doesn't feel very well at all. In fact, I can relate it to something in my own life. I was listening to this girl, Amiee, on Connections Restored TV, or maybe you know this yourself and you can offer this to them. We bring to the surface the painful feeling. You know what? I have clarity in this moment that this is not how I desire to feel, right? And we say that and we bring it to the surface and we look at it. We look our fear dead in the face, right? And we say, you know what? I recognize in this moment this is not how I desire to feel. How would I like to be feeling instead? So we ask a non-judgmental question, right? We pull to the surface how we're really feeling. We don't push it down. We don't stuff it down. We don't say, this is bad. I'm a bad person. Why do I keep right? We pull it to the surface, right? It's interesting that I continue to feel this way. How do I do, and I no longer desire to feel this way. How do I desire to feel instead? And so we gain clarity on the feeling we want to be feeling instead. I want inner peace. I want freedom. I want happiness. I want joy. I want whatever it is, right? And so we say that, and then the next thing we can say after that is, what action do I need to take to have that feeling? Right? For some of us, it might be exercise. For some of us, it might be journaling. For some of us, it might be meditation. For some of us, that might be a walk in nature. For some of us, that might be having a conversation with another person who's been on a similar journey, who can provide a calibration space. And what I mean by a calibration space is because they've been on that journey and they have wisdom that they have gained on that journey, they allow us to elevate and come up to their level and their energy faster than we could have arrived on our own. Right? So we allow ourselves to calibrate to that person who has had a similar experience, who has already walked through it, who is standing on the other side, and we just listen and absorb and allow that energy to take over faster than we could have arrived on our own, which takes a lot less energy, a lot less time, a lot less studying, and a lot less money, honestly, in the long run. But there is this really interesting space where people get really confused about investing in themselves, and a mentor or a therapist or a doctor who resonates with the experience we have walked through, right? Because we get taught, at least in my experience, that solutions are fast. When we're talking about The way the brain thinks, the solutions are not fast, right? Because it takes 21 to 28 days to create a habit, but it takes 90 days for your central nervous system to rewire the new feeling around the new habit. So it's about, right, having the right person and guide us through those 90 days, because in those 90 days, that 95% of the brain is going to throw us off track and keep loading up obstacles because it wants us to be the habit of who we were. So, right, finding the right guide on our journey to help us, because people get really, really frustrated and they want these quick fixes. And we've been taught this in our society. Fixes are fast. You go to the doctor, you get a prescription, you take the medicine, you're all better, right? But we're talking about rewiring the way that the brain thinks. This actually takes time. It takes more time than people believe. And so some people might say, well, 90 days is a long time, but really 90 days goes by like this, like this. And so to be able to have that right guide on our journey who can catch those old belief systems and remind us, because only a perfectionist believes that they can get everything right the first time. Only a perfectionist, and perfectionists they aren't real. They're the person who keeps getting stuck in the same spot over and over and over again, living in insanity, right? And the literal definition of insanity is repeating the same habit over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Right? That is perfectionist thinking, because they believe that they've made all the mistakes already, that they know the exact right way to the end result, to, they know how to get from point A to point B because they've already made all the mistakes, and they know exactly how to get there because they've been practicing enough. But the truth is, we are never going to practice enough. We're going to continue to practice for the rest of our lives. It is true for every single human being on this planet. We're always going to be continually upgrading and evolving into our next level self. So we're going to be practicing some of the same things over and over and over and over again. And so when we have overcome something and we arrive at the exact same place when we have evolved and we're judging ourselves, it's because the perfectionist, the brain, the part of the brain that wants to be a perfectionist, keeps loading up. Why haven't I gotten this? Well, like, why am I here again? Like, I don't understand what's going on. And the key is to take that step back and recognize that as you go through the 7 levels of consciousness, you're going to evolve again and again and again. You're going to be at step 1 where you're deep asleep, and then arrive at the 7th level of consciousness, which is unity consciousness. And then you're going to go through all of those steps, and you're going to arrive again and again and again, and have to go through the process every single time you are asking for something new in your life, every time you want to upgrade, every time you want to become a next level version of yourself where you're stepping into something new, right? And I have helped lots and lots of people in my lifetime understand where their brain is allowing them to take them for this joyride, and like literally like being disconnected. The mind is just so disconnected from the body that we literally become prisoners of our own mind, where the mind becomes the master. And this is exactly what's happening for people who have suffered from trauma and PTSD. And sometimes we judge that there are levels of trauma, like someone who's been sexually abused it has so much more trauma and feeling behind it than the person who witnessed a car accident. Like, yes, we know that witnessing a car accident and even probably witnessing someone die is incredibly traumatic, but that, right? Like, people say this to me all the time, but you were sexually abused for many years of your life when you were really young. But the feeling is the same. The person who witnesses the car accident and even probably maybe watches another human being lose their life, the feeling of sadness and grief and oh my gosh is the same feeling as someone like me who's experienced, sexual abuse in their life. It's the feelings, right? And the feelings dictate the thoughts, and the thoughts dictate the habit of the person we become. So the important piece here, I'll reiterate again, 2 pieces actually, I'll bring them back to the conversation, is When you notice your loved one, whomever that is, comes into your experience and they're in the trauma space, the PTSD space, give them space. Listen, just listen. Be reflectionary, not reactionary. Don't try and fix them. Just allow them to speak. And then when you notice that they calm down, and it may take a little bit of time because survival brain is very, very powerful. So just be patient. Just be patient, practice patience. And when they come back to you and they're ready, give them a tool. This is a very transformational tool you can give this person. Not offering advice, but helping them to create a tool that will create a new neural pathway in their brain so that they can start to think differently. Isn't it interesting that I was feeling frustrated, that I was lost, that I had anxiety, that I had insomnia? And tell them not to judge themselves. They're not bad, they're not wrong, it just is. Right? Isn't it interesting? Is this how I desire to continue to feel? No. Okay, great. Now that we have wisdom and clarity on that, what would you like to feel instead? I would like to feel less pressure. I would like to feel freedom within myself. Okay, great. And what action do I need to take to have this result? And whatever that is, whatever the person comes up with, do not guide them. Allow them to come to the answer on their own. And a lot of times they'll probably say, I don't know. So just encourage them if they say that. I understand that you're saying, I don't know, but even though it might not make sense, what might you do if you could do anything and there was no judgment and you had the time and you had the money and the resources to do it? And just see what comes up for them. Because I don't know allows them to continue to live in that space where the subconscious mind is given permission to continue to be the powerful source, where the brain still is allowed to continue to be the master of that person's experience, right? But the mind is not the master. The mind is a powerful tool. The true master of this experience is the heart. It's about trusting oneself. So I hope you guys found this information valuable. If you did, please make sure you share this with your friends, because trauma and PTSD are a growing concern, especially this year with all of the things going on. People are losing their businesses. People are losing their means of survival. People are losing their loved ones due to the pandemic and the coronavirus. And I know that there's a lot of thoughts around this. So just take what resonated with you and leave the rest behind, because I know that you can practically apply this in all of life, because all of us, including ourselves, know someone or know our own self who has gone through something that has been really traumatic. And to have this information, I found, is incredibly viable to evolving the human's thinking and allowing people to shift, change, and grow and create a new habit so they become a more empowered version of themselves. And the only reason I know this is because I have walked through this space many, many times myself, as I was learning to heal myself from alcoholism, drug addiction, and binge eating disorder over the past 15 years of my life. And that I have been so blessed by the universe to be able to help other people walk through this space. And now helping other women who have huge hearts, who have also walked through various kinds of trauma, build and grow successful, profitable businesses. Right? So again, my name is Amiee Boswinkle. I'm an intuitive and an energetic mindset, marketing, and strategy women's business coach. I am so incredibly honored and grateful to have been able to spend this time with you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please make sure you like and follow the Bill and Callie Show. They're amazing people representing amazing humans who are here to shift, change, grow, and evolve humanity. And if you feel called to like my business page, Connections Restored, I would love to continue to talk with you. I provide videos there in most days. Some days I might do it in my private group, which is called Women Rising, Healing Money Shame. Or you can personally friend request me here on Facebook, Amiee Boswinkle. I love you all so much. And again, if this video spoke to you, This came straight from my heart, a direct download from the universe. Please make sure you share this with your friends, because this is incredibly valuable information that could save someone you love's life. Because I know if this information was given to me years ago, I might not have walked through as many hardships as I did. But I'm grateful for all of those hardships, because without them, I wouldn't have gained the wisdom that I needed to be this person who's sitting here today talking to all of you. I love you, and we will be talking again next week. Have an incredible week, friends. I love you so much. Bye-bye.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Green Balance Hemp and Wellness. Hi everybody, and welcome to our very first bi-monthly Green Balance Hemp and Wellness fan club and beverage of your choice girls get together. And I guess I'll start first. Obviously, you all know I'm Callie, and I have to say that my favorite Green Balance product is the essential oil infusions. It is this topical relief oil. It's in a roller ball. I put it on. First of all, it smells amazing. I can put it on my temples for headaches. I can rub it all over, and it's got this cooling sensation, and it just keeps me kind of chill and zen all day. So why don't we start? We'll introduce everybody. Lily, why don't you tell everybody what your favorite product is?
Well, I too love all their products, but as a certified fashionista and a makeup artist to the stars, I would have to say that my favorite products are the 100 milligram face serum and of course the orange and honey lip balm, because in my line of work, having lovely skin is so important, and I even tell my clients if they want their skin to be smooth and radiant, the face serum is amazing, and definitely the lip balm keeps your lips so smooth and luscious. Oh, that would be my favorite.
Okay, now we're going to go over to our new member, Denise.
Oh, me? Well, like you, I like all their products, but if I had to choose my favorite, I would have to say that as a wife of a husband who travels an awful lot, and as the mom of 6 really active kids, my favorite product would have to be the 500 milligram CBD oil. I put 2 drops under my tongue every morning, and it really helps me get through the day. I mean, when you've got 2 sets of twins and 2 teenagers, you need all the help you can get.
Okay, next we're going to introduce Gwendolyn.
Oh, my turn. Well, I mean, obviously, all of their products are bloody brilliant, right? But I have to say that my favorite would have to be the Vetiver and Sage CBD infused soap. I mean, my skin is so incredibly sensitive, and so whenever I use a product, it either used to leave it so dry and crepey feeling, or else it was so greasy feeling. Well, this soap is just brilliant on my skin. I mean, it is soft and soothing and just feels wonderful all over. I mean, yes, I love all their products, but if I had to choose, that would be my favorite.
And now we're going to talk to Naya.
Well, I do love their CBD pet drops, but if I had to pick my favorite, it would have to be the Green Balance Paw Balm. My paws sometimes will get itchy or bother me, and when I put this on, it makes them feel much better.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today to enjoy our very first bi-monthly meeting, and let's make sure that we get out there and tell everybody how much we love Green Balance Hemp and Wellness, and how you can go onto their website to get all the information for the great products that they sell. All right, see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.